We're going to talk right now about Polly Peachum. So Polly Peachum is another main character within the play. You could argue she's possibly one of the main female parts of the play. And Brecht uses Polly Peachum within the play to show a major theme that I've discussed in a couple of the other videos that I've been whacking up onto the YouTube machine of late. She goes through a clear character transition within the play. At the very beginning of the play, we meet her. She comes across as being quite naive, a bit melodramatic, very emotional. She cries and is, I'd say hysteric is perhaps too strong a word, but she certainly shows a lot of kind of melodramatic emotion in the very first sort of scene that we meet her in. Throughout the play, she becomes more and more involved within Mac, and they actually have a kind of mock sham wedding together, and they are kind of like husband and wife, even though Mac's been carrying on with lots of other women behind his back, behind her back rather. But throughout the course of the play anyway, she starts as being very, like I say, over the top, quite emotional, melodramatic. Then something happens. Within the play, she takes over, and this happens about halfway through the play, she takes over the business, Mac's business. So Mac has to run away because the police are after him, and in Mac's absence, Mac actually sits her down at one point within the play, and he talks her through how to run the criminal business. Now, at this point, this is often described within texts and within students' essays. This is like a transformation scene. She goes from being a very, like I say, kind of melodramatic, quite emotional character to a hard-nosed, stern businesswoman. And she literally does this throughout the course of like one, maybe two scenes. She becomes very, very businesslike, and this can be shown in a number of ways. It can be shown, I guess, from an actor's point of view, through the way, you know, literally the way she's acting. So she can be flouncing around and doing lots of, oh my goodness, Mac, oh, but what is this? And why are we here? We're in a stable, we're going to get married. Oh, it's just too much, I'm going to cry. She goes from that to very, very stern, kind of like upright, business-like kind of manner. So think of her as like almost like a crime lord almost, but like a very, very steely-faced one that doesn't show any emotion at all. And by the end of the play, when Mac's about to be hanged for all of the crimes that he's done, her few final lines that she says, she actually says them without any kind of emotion really at all. And so what Brecht is trying to show with the transformation of Polly from being this very emotional character to a character who actually has no real emotion at all is that the corrupting power and the corrupting influence of money and of crime makes you as a human being have dead emotions. It deadens your emotions to get involved in things that involve money. And so she is kind of the embodiment, I guess, of that theme. So a really good way of thinking about her character transition is that she goes from very crazy over the top to very stern and actually quite stoic. Stoic is a good word to use actually when you think about Polly, certainly towards the end of the play. So you can show that through her physicality, but you can also show that through her choice of clothes that she wears. So you could, and I've seen this done before in performances, have her wearing very kind of over-the-top, spangly kind of outfits at the very beginning of the play, and then that transitions into more business-like kind of attire, like a business jacket with like shoulder pads and things like that, to then at the very end of the play, she actually changes into a widow's weed, which is essentially the black outfit that women would wear at the funeral of their husbands. So she has this massive transition from, like I said, well, I've said it before, but she transitions from all of these different sort of three things to what we see at the end of the play. So the transformation of Polly is symbolic of the corrupting influence of society, essentially. The corrupting influence of Mac, probably, more likely. And so you need to show that in your performance, and you also need to understand that when you're talking about Polly within the play. So Polly Peachum, really, really good character to think about from a female perspective, and a very important character as she embodies some of the main themes of the play. Polly Peachum, check her out. There'll be more videos coming up very, very shortly.